Hi, my name is Paul, and I'm going to talk you through a few tips in how to create the different components for the David and Goliath story in the Jesse box. You see from the story manual that it's easier, I find, to pull out the pages from the starting from the center rather than cutting components directly out from the book. The characters, I find, if you cut loosely around them first, then it's easier to cut around the children will find it easier to cut around the characters, and it's easier to give them to the different children once they're all divided up. Then for making a character, all the characters are pretty much the same. They just go around the cone and use a bit of glue. Try to avoid putting the glue on the wood. Now this is a great piece of arts and crafts here, making all the different components and the character of Goliath. You'll see here that I've cut loosely around the spear and fold. It's very tricky. If you cut out that spear on its own and then try and fold it, you'll find it very tricky. So it's good to cut it out with some white background around it. Glue it first and then cut it out after. Next, I'm going to show you the shield. The main thing to remember about the shield is if you fold it first and then cut around it, you'll find that it works better and you won't have any white bits showing. You don't glue the entire shield front and back because you have to cut out these tabs that will enable Goliath to hold the shield over his arm. So all you do is if you fold it first, it makes it a little easier to cut these out, and you make these tabs that are not glued. Yeah, so you fold them back and then you glue the rest of the front and the back of the shield together. Now for his sword or scimitar, it's the same as with the spear. If you glue it first, you'll find it easier when cutting because it's quite a skinny weapon, and you'll find it too difficult to try and glue the front and back pieces together if you cut around it first. So fold a big chunk, glue it together, and then cut. Don't be afraid to let the children do this. This is very tricky, but don't be afraid if they make a bit of a mess. The main thing is to get them involved and to get them doing the arts and crafts. Here again, fold it, then cut it. Goliath's head sits on top of the cone. It makes the whole character much bigger and more impressive. And once the arms are cut out, then you can glue them. You have to cut slots in the body of Goliath so that the arms can slot in and go into place. I don't think there's any other Jesse Box character as intricate as Goliath, but he's wonderful. Once he's assembled, he's fearsome and quite a character. This is to hold the sword on his belt. So this bit isn't glued, you'll see when the character is made. So make those cuts first and then glue the character together. Make sure it's firmly pressed down. You're gluing so that the character will hold in place. He's beginning to take shape. You see here how I folded back parts of the arms so that when they go inside the character that they'll really be quite secure. Now if I can do this with my big clumsy hands, the kids will have no problem doing it with their nice small little fingers. So you can see this is done when the cone isn't in place. Now when you put the cone on, and if the cone can go on there, you'll see how now he's ready for battle, this guy. Who on earth could fight this man? This is David's hut. Don't be too worried about cutting in and around each rock. Remember, let the children do it. If they don't do it perfectly, so what? Doesn't matter. Cut around the outside and then fold along the dotted lines here to make David's hut. This is where he, on the hills when he was looking after the sheep, David would use this hut. So just be careful to cut on the solid lines and fold on the dotted lines. Some of the solid lines are quite small, but make sure that you cut into them because you're going to need those little incisions later when you're folding and assembling it. This is quite a clever prop in how can you make a tent fit for a king out of a flat piece of paper, but we'll show you here now. Then for this section where you're showing the Philistine army fleeing, remember it's very simple, and you just fold along the dotted line to make this little prop stand up. For the character of David, it's you have to cut around his hand here so that he can hold the sling. Sling is quite simple. You just glue one end to the other and then wrap it around his arm. You'll have to press that quite firmly to make it secure. Then he's ready to fight now. This is Saul's armor that David is trying on. You could just put it over the character in a barrel shape. You don't make it in a cone shape.